Have you made a final decision on how you're going to approach your legislative agenda? Is it going to be one bill, or are you going to split it up into multiple bills at this point?
I have, but I ain't telling you.
Any reaction to what happened in Myanmar?
It's terrible. It's absolutely outrageous. And based on the reporting I've gotten, an awful lot of people have been killed totally unnecessarily.
Senator Chris Murphy said today that he thinks there's a chance to get 60 votes for a background check proposal. Are you prepared to make calls to Republicans to try to get that over the finish line?
Of course I am. I'm the only one that's ever gotten passed, man. Everybody keeps wondering whether I'm cared about dealing with rational gun control. The only gun control legislation ever passed is mine. It's going to happen again.
Mr. President, how close are you to naming a national cyber director?
Close.
Within days, sir?
Close.
Close?
We've seen Republicans.
COVID cases are going up. What's going wrong in America?
Well, based on what I'm hearing, apparently people are letting their guard down. But I'm having a meeting with the team tomorrow, and I'll get a better sense.
Mr. President, what are you giving up for Lent?
I gave up all sweets for Lent. You have no idea how hard it is for me.
What's the first sweet you're looking forward to having when it's over?
Cream.
And what are you going to do to sanction Myanmar? What is the plan here for the U.S. reaction to what is going on?
Well, we're working on that now.
We've seen Republican senators at the border. Former President Trump said he's been asked by some Border Patrol agents to go to the border. Do you think that would be productive, and any timetable on when you might go?
We are putting in place a plan that I feel very confident about, and I don't care what the other guy does. Thank you.
Let's bring in NBC News White House correspondent Monica Alba. Monica, that was our friend and colleague Mike Memoli tossing some questions there to President Biden. He asked about the legislative approach for infrastructure. The president said, I've come up with a plan, but I ain't telling you. And Mike also asked him about gun control legislation, and the president reminded us all that the background check bill that currently exists, as senator, he was the one responsible for it. We know that the White House is going to unveil its infrastructure bill later this week. What are we expecting?
Yeah, and funny enough, Jeff, of course, the White House press secretary this morning actually did give us a bit of a preview of what their legislative strategy is, but the president doesn't want to give too much away, clearly, until he does deliver those remarks in Pittsburgh on Wednesday, when he is going to talk about phase one of this Build Back Better agenda that the White House is billing, essentially, as now the recovery portion. They first wanted to provide some relief and rescue to the American people in light of the coronavirus pandemic, and now they're pivoting to infrastructure and a very large price tag. All told, it's going to be something like $3 trillion. But the reason it's in two phases is because the first one is essentially going to be your traditional infrastructure when you think about roads and bridges and water and energy. And then the second half is more of human infrastructure, things like healthcare and childcare, perhaps making some of those child tax credits permanent. So this is going to be a multi-layered strategy, though, again, the president didn't want to get too ahead of it, asked by our own Mike Memoli there, a voice that will be very familiar to viewers, I'm sure. But some other news and headlines that came out of that is the president saying he has no plans yet to go visit the border. That's something that the former president, Donald Trump, has hinted he's considering doing. But it's notable we've now seen this president talk about the former guy or the other guy in that context, and really dismissing anything that his predecessor says about him, brushing it off in that way. On the issue of gun control, that was a pretty significant response from this president, because in the wake of both of those mass shootings in Georgia and in Colorado, the president said they were looking to see what can be done and what's possible. But really, we know in terms of the agenda on Capitol Hill, they're going to focus first on infrastructure. Of course, they can do multiple things at the same time. But in terms of gun control, these other majorly complex issues like immigration and, of course, that voting rights legislation, this all has to be done on parallel tracks that are super tricky. And the president has talked about this even a few days ago in that press conference. It's all about timing. And right now we know at least the Trump era had a lot of infrastructure weeks. Jeff, you remember it so well from covering it. The Biden team is going to get their first crack at infrastructure week, this coming one.
Yeah, and we'll see where it takes us. NBC's Monica Alba, thanks for that comprehensive debrief. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.